Okay, once again, thank you very much for audience that you're following us, listening. And I will take it to some point, but we go back to the audience. We may emphasize more about the genetical explanation about how human are existed. We can listen to Dr. Aya's opinion, but we have so many other students who studied biology at the universities. They may give us more details about how genetically or biologically we exist there. So I may ask you once again, you were saying that we have a free will as the humans, and do you think animals, they have free will?
To some extent, yeah. It's limited with the ability of their brain and how does it work.
Do you think animals, they have mind and brain?
Of course they do. They have some amount of smartness. That's why they can eat, they can drink, they don't die of hunger.
So how you think that when animals, they share with you the same concept of saying, I have a brain, they have a brain, you have a mind, they have a mind, how you think that you are the winner here in the group?
Well, it's about the ability, the amount of ability that your brain can do.
And you think today you are able to win, then tomorrow you think even you can guarantee it to win, like to say that, okay, I have my mind fully is function, then animal, their mind is not yet to be fully functioned. Do you think they cannot function their mind?
Yes, the way that their mind is created, I don't think so.
Have you ever seen what kind of animals, or whatever is animal you want to call it, do you think they don't choose to eat, or just nature telling them to eat?
If you define nature, how do you define it in this context?
Evolutionary speaking. Nature bears you, nature gives you a chance to live, because you say in evolutions, nature is playing a big role to all aspects of life. Nature, you are saying, give us the free will. Nature is constraining the fate itself and giving the level of the free will in higher than the fate, for example.
Whatever your explanation or your definition of nature, this nature is going according to rules. Where do these rules come from?
You may provide the answer.
No, I'm asking based on your premise that nature provides everything.
When you say in an evolutionary theory that, for example, nature exists, and nature is the one who emerging for the continuation of the life. Nature is the one perhaps give us so many indication of things. For example, when you look at this very amazing universe, you meditate, you contemplate more. So if nature didn't reflect it, or doesn't reflect there as the way you look, then you are not even interested to point it, for example. You're not interested even to choose the thing that you say you like to choose them, or how can you look at that? Because for me, I think there is a fate, but physics cannot explain it. Fate where I think a lot I can do. For example, believe that a human, believe that you say you have mind, believe that you think that you have super mind, you think you can select things freely without any hinders or limitations. Generally, we can go to the audience, we can listen from the doctor perspective about how biology can explain the human existence, and then we may carry on more about other theories that in the physics. We go to relativity, we go to other aspects. So can we give mic to the Dr. Aya?
Well, let's take it from the beginning. When you talk about biology, then basically, as you said, you're talking about the DNA. And what is DNA? It's more of a blueprint of all of us, the living creatures. And what's DNA? It's a short for deoxyribonucleic acid. Hey, it sounds Roman or Greek to most of you, but to make it simple, DNA has like 3 billion, and you know what billion is? 3 billion letters. And these letters are actually, or basically, are just composed of four figures. They are just G, T, C, and A. Only 4. These 4 figures or letters, they compose over 3 billion codes for the whole genome. We call it the human genome, or we call it the DNA code. So when you come to this, I can tell you what does GTCA means, and maybe that will just sound very weird and doesn't mean anything to you. But just for those who are interested in biology, and that you know that G stands for guanine. It's a substance or amino acid. A stands for adenine. C stands for cytosine. So these are the components of the DNA. And what I want to say that I don't believe in the evolution theory or Darwin theory. I believe that this DNA is so complex, so it's creative. It creates more about billions and billions of codes that create us, our characteristics and traits. So that is actually an evidence of God, that there is a supreme power, as Ms. Rawan here said. So there is no such thing as coincidence in all this creativity.
So
it must be something from a supreme power, something more intelligent than this intelligence.
all right, thank you very much. I can go back to Rawan to tell us more about, do you think science will give or will create for humans a source of happiness? Because people regard the science as the kind of a new religion or a new prophecy for the coming life, or let's say in coming time. So generally, do you think science is a new version of religion?
I would respectfully disagree with that, because science cannot explain everything, because the knowledge that we can have as human, as I said earlier, our brain is limited to specific. We cannot use all of our ability to know everything. So there's another thing to depend on, which is the faith. You have to have faith in something, and this something is religion, of course. So science cannot stand alone. There must be something to combine with to live life happy.
You have to, meaning you necessarily
If you want to
believe.
be happy, you have to.
Happiness defined or found only in aspects of spiritualism.
It depends on how do you define happiness.
Because when you talk about prophecy of science, you were saying science cannot give us prophetic, for example, views about coming years or coming decades or centuries. But I'm saying science is telling us a lot about climate change, global warming. Science is telling us a lot about how the thing could be changed, or even how human will end their life. So scientifically or naturally we talk about life, then science is a new systematic belief concept that imposed to the human society.
Yes, I can see your point. I can see where you're coming from, but I'm saying that just because it's explaining a lot of the wanderings that we have, there are more, even greater wanderings that we don't know nothing about. So since science cannot explain everything for me, and it entirely depends on logic, I cannot have faith here. That means I cannot live peacefully. I cannot have science as my religion if I want to be happy.
The energy, God, for example. Physics define God as the energy that creates things, produces things, rebirths them, even take their life. Everything is limited to the level of the human, but everything is not limited to the level of energy when we talk about physics, literally there. But generally, you think that science can tell us more about the climate change and global warming, generally speaking, but it cannot tell us in the precisions of the things that will happen or change. Do you think science has a precision process?
Of course, they have a prediction because this is a result. This is a clear view of what's going to happen if humans don't stop their bad habits to the planet. Climate change is one of the most dangerous problems that we're facing today. And human seems like they don't care about. They're just living.
Politically, yes.
Of course, yes.
Socially,
there are protests about it.
Lively, enjoying life. Do you think we don't go with a political view about climate change is not real? And how do you say climate change even real? For example, if 4 seasons are not the same, because when you said a change is supposed to be changing from, for example, from the black to the white. For example, I take the change as black and white because I look there that there are 4 seasons, and these 4 seasons they are not the same. Winter is quite different than the summer. So how can you say this is a very making sense claim? I really see like that. How change happens, literally, sequentially, meanwhile there is no sequences.
The change is very visible. You can look around. You can see how hot it can be
Visible
right now.
to the level of the nature.
To the nature, you can literally observe it. You can see how the seas have risen, how there are so many floods than before. The temperatures are getting higher and higher, especially in the urban areas.
Okay, generally speaking, let's go back to the cosmos, precisely stars and galaxies. How do you think a star, they, let's say, receive the energy of the light from Earth, or from the sun? And how can you tell us a practical evidence that Earth is not the center of the universe?
Earth isn't the center of the universe.
Do you think that
And
Earth,
it's not even the center of the galaxy that we're in even.
how?
Because the center of the galaxy, we are some distance between the center of the galaxy and somewhere at the tail. Our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and we are somewhere away from the center of the galaxy. We're not the center of everything.
The black hole is the center.
Yes, there is a black hole at the center. They expected that.
So do you think black
According
hole
to
can
the-
be explained?
Black hole, it's just like a dying star or a dying giant star. It's like a vacuum. It has so much gravity that it can attract whatever is going around its orbit.
And scientifically, you call it just giant. Meanwhile, you don't size it. Meanwhile, you don't, let's say, you don't tell me the exact, the distance between our center to its center.
There is a distance. I just don't recall the name, the number.
Give me evidence. You don't need to have a specific mathematically, but let's talk about rationally. How can you calculate it in the science calendar? How you look at this?
There are so many ways to detect. You can see, you can observe the effects of the planets around.
Maybe other giant, not even the big hole, black hole you want to call. So do you think we are connected as the human, and even the planet and the universe, cosmos, star are connected to somewhere?
Well, they just observe the nature of the planet, the atmosphere, the amount of oxygen it might have, the basics that we need here. Can they be there? It's all the basics that we need to live on Mars.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rowan, for that. I really interested. That's very